Alright, getting to the last of the specs that we got to test out for Bond himself, this is going to be the darkness spec in today's video. Now this one I do like quite a lot, and I have two teams that I do want to go ahead and showcase. One of them seems like it does need a little bit more extra magic charge, while the other one seems like it's perfectly fine. Though, we're going to at least try to test them both out and have a little bit of fun with the character himself. If you guys like videos like this, be sure to sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's hop straight into it. Picking up where we left off here, we're still P4 for the gauntlets, and this is probably going to be the last video we're covering for the gauntlets, or at least covering over for the gauntlets at a P4 the spec here. And it's very simple to see how this character does work with the gauntlets themselves. It's going to all derive off the passive itself, which essentially, to summarize everything up, you get 10 hits without a burst, you're going to apply something called Snatch. Snatch essentially is going to act as a debuff that for the enemy, they're going to take increased darkness weakness damage by 10% for 15 seconds, right? And this is if a darkness burst is active. Whenever anyone on our team does hit, obviously with Bond himself, his attack is going to go up by 0.6, and this is going to go up to a maximum of 20 times. Now with this, it's going to be very helpful for us. It does last for 10 seconds, which is going to be very helpful, and this will only be removed once the burst is gone. But without the burst itself, or just using it, or using anything that applies this, it will increase our hero's normal attack crit damage by 100% against enemies affected by Snatch. So throughout that entire time, right, you have the increased darkness weakness on the enemy, you have all this good stuff, but alongside of this, since the enemy affected that you're attacking has Snatch on them, you're getting a normal attack crit damage increase by 100%. So you want to make good use of this. Now, another part of this is going to then come from his special attack, which is going to be Abyss Uppercut. You are going to use this before, before using your combo attack. So keep that in mind when you are doing this. You usually go into the basic attacks, into the special attack itself being Abyss Uppercut. And this is going to apply another debuff called Breach. Breach is essentially going to be taking down the burst resistance of all elements by 20% and increasing your darkness damage taken on the enemy by 25%. It lasts for 30 seconds, which is very helpful, and this is going to help you out after you use your combo ult. Your combo ult, which is going to be Black Burst, you're going to do this usually with our Meliodas here. Whenever you do end up using this, it will enhance your normal skill for 10 seconds, and the enhanced normal skill not only does more damage, but will freeze the darkness burst duration for 6 whole seconds once you hit the enemy. That's where the normal skill Snatch comes in handy, which is different from our passive. When we use this here, not only is it going to decrease the darkness defense of the enemy, but the final strike itself is going to freeze the said bar that we needed for the actual darkness burst and increase all allied heroes darkness attack by 30% for 30 seconds. This is very helpful. It does a ton of damage. It is awesome to actually go ahead and use here to get him all set up. And I think with the team that I'm going to be showing first is pretty solid and easy to pull off the whole combo. Though with Derriere, it does seem like it's a little bit harder, seeing that you do need a little bit more magic charge efficiency, which I don't understand if you can really kind of meld that with more magic charge efficiency on your substats or what, but we're going to try it anyways. So for today, I'm using the Blazing Gauntlets here. We have Meliodas on his Gluttonous Long Sword, of course our Elizabeth on her Shadow Rupture Grimoire, and then our Daisy on Blazing Grimoire. As for our armor here, we have some magic charge efficiency type related artifacts here. We then have our Elizabeth on the full Hymn of Regeneration set, Greedy Ruler set here, and then of course the Spider set for our Bond. But let's jump straight into it. Alright, so now that we've loaded on here, this one is pretty simplistic. You're just going to go in, get your first strike easily. You're going to go up with the full on just regular attack pattern, right? Once you do that, put wherever you need down, get your electromagnetic, swap on in, pop off your Q and E, and then at this point in time, you can just go ahead, pop off the combined ult, hit with the E to go ahead and extend, and then you swap into Meliodas, press Q once, and then just E spam. During this entire time, you already froze the bar for a while, and you can just sit here and just take advantage over some of the damage. That is pretty decent. There's nothing really more that really works out to it, which is really good for this whole set. I do like it quite a lot. The only thing that I hate is when we are swapping, of course, you do have to be a little bit careful on your timing for your electromagnetic, because of course if you end up forgetting doing that basic attack with Daisy, you're not going to get a lot of that extra amount that you're looking for. But once again, go ahead and do this, get the last punch, swap into our Daisy, obviously get the buff, slap with that, do Q and E, turn back into this here, use our ult, use Bond's E, and then we can go ahead and pop off the Q and E rotation. So the faster you're able to do that, the quicker you're going to be able to obviously get more slices off with Meliodas' normal skill, based on the amount of bar that you're able to save after the uppercut, which is very, very helpful. Now, this is going to be different depending on the bosses you're facing, because some of the bosses do have different resistances, which is always an issue that you have to kind of account for. Though at the same time, it still works pretty darn good and it feels pretty nice. You don't really have to go ahead and break your back on trying to sweat for it. You kind of already have everything that you do need, and it's pretty easy to go ahead and track. Now, the only thing I did just mess up on was I ended up triggering that with Meliodas, meaning, yeah, it took us a little time to swap back in and stuff like that. But you guys get the picture. Still the same difference, still works, and it is immensely strong. Now, you can make this team stronger, which is the next team that I want to show. The only off chance or the only problem that I've had with it is I think my substats are a little bit low on some of my gears. So my magic charge efficiency isn't giving me the full 5 orbs that I do need. But we're going to try one with Derriere, and it's going to actually remove our Daisy out of the party. So let's go ahead and try that. Now this team is a little bit weird here, because this team itself seems like it doesn't have enough magic charge efficiency, and I'm unsure if it's just my issue here with this one, but it manages to get to 4 or 4.5, and I do think it's mainly because you're not able to get a tag in at the very beginning of the whole matchup here. So this comes out to being maybe a team that's better inside of dungeons or better inside of longer form content, not so good for speed running type deals. But essentially, you're going to use the same gear pretty much. The only thing that's a little bit different here is going to be what's called our Derriere. You very well can just go ahead and use the full Untamed Roar set, which is the thing I like to do. But I was trying to experiment to see if we can get that last magic charge there, and it doesn't seem like it. So I do advise you guys to put on the Untamed Roar for this one, especially once you're doing the longer form content, and you should be able to easily breeze on through that. But let's go ahead and try this here and give this a little bit of a test run. Now this is going to be without the first strike on inside of here, because I do want to just go ahead and just test it out for you guys. And I'm just gonna do this as if I'm doing like my normal stuff here. Now that we have our charge, I don't really have to worry about it. I just need to see if they'll give us, there we go, we have our tag in. So we'll be able to do this the proper way, right? So as if this is the boss inside of a raid, we'll be able to get our first attack on, or our first strike. So you're gonna do it the same way, get the basic attacks on in, boom, press Q, swap on out, press your Q into E, swap on out, use your E skill, swap back in, and then pop your combined ult. You then want to use your E to actually freeze the bar, and then swap over to Meliodas. Now, if you wanted to be a little greedy about this, which actually is going to get you that extra amount of damage that you do want to get to, when you pop the combined ult, instead of swapping dead into Meliodas, you could very well swap back to Derriere, popping her Q skill, which will give you the extra normal attack. This gets a little bit tight because you have to figure out if you will still have your first strike bonus and stuff like that. If you can do it fast enough, you will have your first strike bonus, you will have all your buffs in order, and freeze the damage burst bar, or at least the darkness burst bar, but it is very, very close. So let's go ahead and show you guys that setup itself. So you're gonna do your basic attack string, go ahead and use this, swap, Q, E, swap again, press E, go into Bond, use the combined ult. The second you use combined ult, freeze the bar, swap into your Derriere, press Q, swap into Meliodas, and then Q and E. You are able to get off the full-on normal damage attack, and as you can see by the damage numbers, it is way higher than what we just did. So this is probably the better way of using that team, but it is just way harder to kind of control, because you need to have the tag-ins, which are a huge heavy thing about it, and then you need to be able to have all your buffs in order. You got that in order, you'll be fine doing this said swap in combo, which will be great. So before we close out the video here, I am going to go ahead and just do it one more time. Boom, swap in, do these two, swap on back in, swap back out, swap back in for this here, pop my E off, go ahead and swap out, press Q, and I ended up swapping wrong, but swapping the Meliodas, press E, and Q into E. And this is where you can have a lot of fun for this character. Now, overall, I really do like the darkness spec. I just don't know what team I like more. This team essentially for damage numbers, I love the most, but the other team essentially for just what's it called? The other team is just great to just get it started and not have to worry about anything, while this team does require a little bit more hands-on technique there, which does require you to have a little bit more magic energy. But you guys let me know down below in the comment section how y'all feel about this. Do you think you like this team, or do you like the last team? And if you're using something different, let me know as well. I would put this inside of a match, but not gonna lie to you, I do not feel like fighting Valenti with this. And the other things that have the darkness effect is those dang crystal golems, which I think we all have PTSD over that. So till then, everybody, stay safe, stay sharp, and peace on out.